Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a movie review, and the movie we are talking about is Toy Story 4. Toy Story 4 stars Tom Hanks, Tim Allen, Annie Potts, Tony Hale, Keegan-Michael Key, Jordan Peele, Christina Hendricks, and so many more in this massive ensemble cast. This film takes place shortly after the events of Toy Story 3 and follows Woody and the gang once more, this time with their new kid, Bonnie. This film also welcomes Bonnie's new favorite toy, Forky, a toy that she crafted herself in her kindergarten orientation, and yes, he is actually a spork. Unfortunately, this brings a bit of trouble for Woody and his friends because Forky believes that he is trash and doesn't deserve to be a toy.
I am not a toy!
While on a road trip with Bonnie and her family, Forky manages to escape. This prompts Woody to hunt him down because he has always been the most loyal toy there is. While Woody is searching for Forky, he stumbles across an antique shop where he sees a familiar lamp in the front window. This lamp belonged to no other than his long-lost love, Bo Peep. The rest of the film is an adventure of Woody and his friends attempting to find each other again, and also explores Woody's internal conflict on whether or not he should return to Bonnie and his friends or stay with Bo Peep, a friend that he thought he had lost so many years ago. When this movie was first announced, I honestly was a bit apprehensive and honestly extremely nervous. To me, Toy Story 3 was the perfect ending to a series that I feel is one of the most consistent series I have ever watched in my entire life. Toy Story 1 through 3 are all modern classics. So the fact that this movie was going to be made honestly just made me scared. I thought they were going to completely wreck the series, they were going to ruin it, they were going to devalue it, and I just didn't think Toy Story 4 was necessary. Toy Story has a very warm spot in my heart. I grew up with this series. In fact, I think a lot of us grew up with this series.
Especially during all things. Yeah, I think
I was just scared. I didn't want the series to be ruined. I wanted it to still feel fresh, feel good, and feel completely perfect. And is Toy Story 4 necessary? No, absolutely not. But am I glad Toy Story 4 exists? Yes, because I ended up loving it, and this series is still one of the best series I've ever watched in my entire life. The best part about Toy Story 4 is hands down the voice acting. The voice acting is truly unique, and I think that everyone does a great job at developing these characters. Even the new ones we meet. Forky was hilarious. I think Tony Hale did a fantastic job. Every time he made a little one-liner about how he was trash or he didn't deserve to be a toy, I found myself at least smirking. And a lot of the times I was bursting out in laughter because he was just hilarious. My favorite new characters though are hands down Duckie and Bunny, played by Jordan Peele and Keegan-Michael Key. Their scenes were fantastic. They were hilarious. Jordan Peele obviously, of course, had to incorporate a little bit of those horror elements and scenes that I did not see coming whatsoever. And I'm not going to get into spoilers, but trust me, when you see them, you are going to know what I'm talking about. They are flat out hilarious, and perhaps probably my favorite sequences in the entire movie. I honestly am so happy to say that I miss Bo Peep so much. I didn't think I missed her as much until I saw this movie. She is an absolute badass. I think her character is awesome. I think she is very empowered in what she has gone through throughout her life as a lost toy. And I think she helps open the eyes of many other toys about why they do not necessarily need a kid to exist, which is something that is explored a lot in this movie. The existential crisis that all of these toys have gone through at one or another point in the series is one of the most unique themes that this series has ever explored, especially in a family-oriented animated series. But this is still such a crucial part to the series, and I think it is always introduced in a unique and fresh way. In this movie, we talk about Woody's existential crisis of whether or not he deserves to be with Bonnie or if he should stay with Bo Peep. He is torn between these two throughout the whole film, and it isn't until the final few minutes of the film where this is resolved. But that entire arc is so interesting to follow, and honestly is super compelling for all ages, whether you're a kid, my age, an adult, a grandparent, it doesn't matter. I feel like this theme is universal to all demographics. Pixar's animation has never been more breathtaking than it is in Toy Story 4. Whether it's the lighting, the rain, fur on a cat, or different textures on these unique characters. It is just completely breathtaking. You see little scuffs and scratches on stickers, you see different textures of Bo Peep because she's made out of porcelain, or a toy like Woody or Buzz who are made out of plastic. It is completely different for everyone. Even Forky, who is a spork, you can see little grooves and indentations and just different elements that like you wouldn't really think to pay attention to in a movie like this because you think it's going to look beautiful no matter what, but when you really zoom in and look at the amount of time and detail that these animators put into this movie, it is just something completely marvelous to look at. Even the villain in this film, Gabby Gabby, is probably one of the most compelling characters in this film. She's given a backstory that I think is the most flushed out of all the Toy Story villains that we've seen so far. And it's just so interesting. She has a lot of depth to her, and it kind of makes you question whether or not she is really a villain or if she's just another misunderstood toy. But I really enjoyed her arc. I think she was very interesting, and even though she is completely terrifying in certain points, she is also a very entertaining character, and I think everyone that watches this movie can agree to that testament. Honestly, I'm just completely blown away with how much I really ended up loving this movie. The trailers, the posters, they were cool, but it didn't sell me, and I didn't find myself compelled to watch this movie, but I'm glad I did because I felt so many different emotions. The nostalgia was too real. Even at the beginning, like 10 minutes, I found myself having tears in my eyes for almost no reason. It was just crazy, but I felt that throughout the entire film, and I think a lot of people are going to experience those kind of emotions, and that's how you know that the narrative, the characters, and everything about this movie is well done. Because if you can make me, someone that didn't want this movie to be made, was not interested in this movie seeing the trailers, and then still went to watch it and found myself completely blown away by it, that's a great movie. That's a fantastic movie, to be honest. And like I said earlier, Toy Story is still by far one of the most consistent series I've ever watched in my entire life. But perhaps the biggest question on everyone's minds is, am I gonna cry watching Toy Story 4? And the answer to that question is, yeah, absolutely, 100%. There is no way you can avoid it. I cried multiple times. And I'm sure if you cried during Toy Story 3, you will cry during this movie. Because I think I cried more in this movie than I did in Toy Story 3. And that is saying something. I mean, it was more drawn out than Toy Story 3. Toy Story 3 definitely had that punch at the end. But Toy Story 4 has a lot of heartwarming and heart-wrenching moments that you can't help but feel any kind of emotion towards. I heard a lot of sniffles in the audience. I know my boyfriend cried. He never cries. That's also saying something. So you gotta do what you gotta do to prepare yourself for this movie. Whether that's bring your blanket, bring some Kleenex, have some comfort food.
I got beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, lamb, rams, hogs, dogs, chicken, turkeys, rabbits, you name it!
Whatever you need, because you are going to need it to comfort yourself. Overall, Toy Story 4 is a masterpiece. I completely loved it. And that is so great for me to be able to say because, like I said, I was very scared for this movie and I'm so glad that it did not disappoint me and it completely exceeded my expectations. If you were on the fence about watching Toy Story 4, you definitely should go out and check it out. Because if you were a fan of any of the previous movies, a fan of any Pixar movie, a fan of Disney movies, family movies, animated movies, you name it! You're going to enjoy Toy Story 4. I will be incredibly surprised to hear anyone say that they do not like this movie because there's a little bit of something for everyone in Toy Story 4. Honestly, the more I think about it, do I think there could be more Toy Story sequels? Probably, honestly, and I don't think I really oppose that anymore. When I was watching this movie, I thought to myself, this is not a story that I thought we would be doing, but it wasn't bad. It was really great, and it's just something that I think the same way that kids' imaginations tend to go on so many different tangents and there are possibilities that we cannot think of ourselves, and the same way that these toys seemingly have immortal lives, that I think the series could be immortal. There's so much more to be told in this franchise, and I don't really oppose that whatsoever anymore. Toy Story 5 could be announced tomorrow, and I think I would jump on the wagon and be completely behind it. We could have Toy Story 10, 11, 12, and I'm pretty sure they would all be up to par. Pixar and Disney know what they are doing, at least with this series, and I think they know better than to taint something so great. and I think the expectations are always going to be up here, and that's exactly why Toy Story 4 was so fantastic. Toy Story 4 is a masterpiece. Well, that, you guys, pretty much wraps up this video. If you liked it, don't forget to click the little like button. If you want to see more reviews like this in the future, don't forget to click the subscribe button. And if you are already subscribed, don't forget to click the little bell notification. You'll be notified whenever I upload new content, and you will be the first person to know about that. And don't forget, you guys, leave your input in the comments below. I love to have a dialogue with you guys. I like to see your input, hear your feedback. It really brings a highlight to my day. So put in the comments below what you thought about this movie, or if I changed your mind, if this review was helpful. Let me know in the comments below, you guys. I really would appreciate seeing what you have to say. Thank you guys so much for the support, and I'll see you next time.